I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit of basically how to improve your piano playing. So, I know you guys can basically only see this much of the keyboard, so I'm going to try and do most of my illustrations there. So, here's basically the level you have to be at. If you're going to improve your piano playing, part of what you're going to want to do, or at least to follow along with this, is you're going to have to be able to just play some basic chords. Even if it's just like a 1-4-5 song or something. For example, I wrote a song recently, it's peaking for some reason, where I had this chord progression. This is all over G. It was just, I think it went, wow. So not very crazy. All it is G major, and this voicing particularly uses this G. The first inversion of this chord goes to the first inversion of F, second inversion of C, to root position G. Now, there's a lot that we can talk about there, and incidentally, that's not the end of this story. But really quick, there's this thing called voice leading, and you want to use voice leading in your songs, and also when you do accompaniment. So that's why those chords sound so good, is just because that's all it is. It's just this little simple walk down, and your ear is always tuned, if you will, or is always honed in on the note that is the highest. Right. So of course I couldn't live with this chord progression because it was too simple. So after I did this little vamp, like that, still do not know why this is so loud. After I wrote that vamp, I was like, no. That's not complicated enough, because, you know, piano players always like to make things complicated. So I had remembered from my blues licks. So here all this is it's just playing these thirds, like that, and it just drones this G on top. A drone in music is just the same note being played over and over again. As I often tell my students, it sounds much like my voice. So here you got, let's see here, D, G diminished, basically A minor 7 to G. So, you know, right? It's like your standard blues. So I was like, wait a minute. How can I incorporate that negative harmony into what I'm doing? So I started again with my G. And let's see. Right. So first of all, I did basically the opposite motion. So the beginning motion was going down, right? So I was like, I want this to sound more bluesy, and I want to be able to use that little blues lick, which incidentally can be spread out like this. And that's going to take your blues playing to a whole nother level. So we call that like a gospel voicing. So all I did was I just took this and I spread it out amongst my two hands. So my left hand is just playing this, and then my right hand is just playing this. So anyway, yeah, so with that chord progression, which was that, I was like, yeah, I want to add in that nice little blues lick, and then I want to work my way back down to G. So I came up with this. So this little thing basically might as well be an A7 chord. That A7 is basically substituting for where the C was before. Or no, I'm sorry, the A7 is substituting for where the F was before. And then the C minor substitutes for the previous C major. And then, we have the G back. Now, because this is, what do you call it? Not soul jazz, crossover jazz. We actually play more triads than we normally would in jazz. So generally speaking, like in standard, nice, I just played that in the wrong key. I played all 7s, all 9s. I even added in sharp 9 chords, and that's something that you won't really see in rock that often. Not because rock musicians are stupid or anything like that. It's just because the genre doesn't always call for that. Song that comes to mind is Purple Haze. I think it was in E. That uses all sharp 9 chords, or I'm sorry, it only uses the sharp 9 on the 1 chord, and then I think it just plays triads the other 2 times. So anyway, that's a way that you can make your stuff more complicated when you write, and you can see that I actually did some things called rootless voicings, and that's really the heart of what I want to get to. So a rootless, let's talk about a voicing that has a root in it. So, here's C, right? So any basic inversion of this C triad has a root in it. But check it out. If I pretend this left hand is my bass player. If I have my bass player play C, and then I play this, I'm not playing a whole C chord. So that's just what we call a rootless voicing. So let's say that I wanted to play C major 7. I would play this, which is E minor. And then when you add the bass note, now that is the Dave Bowie thing, Down to Major Tom. Right? Now, what I'm showing you is also some basic piano playing. There's a way to get out of the basics. But yeah, let's say that I have a chord progression that goes from C major to A minor. Well, piano players always like to add extra stuff in if we can get away with it. So as a jazz musician, I will do the same thing. I'll run to the blues, I'll run to this as soon as I can. Started a rock band before the pandemic. I have jazz trios and stuff. I've been playing gigs pretty much my entire life. But every song basically boiled down to well, we all need someone we can lean on. Right? And or what's that song? On the south side of Chicago, he's the baddest part of town. And if you go in there, you better best beware of the man named Leroy Brown. Right. And then we were playing Southern Cross. I forget what key we put it in. But there I would just do this typical thing where you use the sus2. And then there too I did the same. It's that second tone of the scale. And then I think I played something I did some walk down. Yeah, this wasn't the key we played it in. That's what it was. have to get away from playing these simple triads, and you have to get more into arranging if you really want to be a good piano player. For our rootless voicings in rock, it's kind of a harder thing to do if things like major 7 chords or 9 chords aren't called for. So when I play So Far Away, I think I do it maybe G. Far away, doesn't anybody stay in one place anymore? It would be so fine to see your face at my door. Now look at this voicing right here. I'm essentially playing D major over G5. I don't know if you guys can see my left hand, but my left hand is just playing this. It's just playing G5. So, it would be so fine to see your face in my door. Now the other thing I can do is I can add in this B. It would be so fine to see your face in my door. But it doesn't. There's that 9 again. But it doesn't help to know you're just... Okay. So now here I'm playing C over D. And I kind of foolishly just doubled this octave. I guess it's just because I plan on going back to this. Which is cool, because that voicing kind of collapses in on itself. Which is another thing you're going to want to look at when you're writing or arranging piano music. So for you hip-hop heads, you guys got to check out songs like Just the Two of Us. See those crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through. Now, if you play that in root position, it's just, well, not root position, but if you play it purely in triads, I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through. You know, so you're gonna, like, that's okay. It's not a terrible thing. It's not wrong, but it doesn't sound very sophisticated. So let's say we're gonna take just a small slice of that, and I'm going to move it around a little bit and show you guys the different possibilities of what you can do. Hip-hop heads, you're definitely going to want to see this, and jazz musicians too. So let's take let's just take the beginning of it, basically, which is just F minor, or I'm sorry, not the beginning, but the resolution. So it's just D flat to C major to F minor, right? Now, there's actually a lot of rap/hip-hop tunes that have that in it. Right. It's a very smooth chord progression. If you want to think of it in terms of numbers, it's sharp 5 to the 5 to the 1. Now we can make that sound cooler by changing up our right hand voicings. I'm not going to change any of the left hand yet. So we're going to start with just like, I don't know. Here, instead of playing this, I'm going to play F minor 7. But I'm also going to add the 9th. And I think I just used that voicing. Yeah. So here I'm just using your standard A-B jazz voicings. And these are rootless voicings because, so here I have D flat major 7. And you can see that my right hand is not playing a root. So I don't want to get into the whole A-B voicing thing. It's confusing if you don't understand music theory and keys. So if you want, do that research on your own. All I'm trying to do is just show you guys the different ways that you can basically play rootless voicings and to make your music sound cooler, especially when you have a simple chord progression. Check this out. This is my cover of Underneath the Bridge. I know I'm going to get some of it wrong. I just recently did this. So at first I wanted to change the chords around, and that's something that I do regularly, is what's called reharming. So I did it in F. I don't know what key they sing it in. It's too hard for me, admittedly. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel like my only friend. Right, so that's their chord progression. So I was like, sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. So all I did was 1 flat 7 to 4. My only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Right. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make that again more complicated. So then I brought the blues back to it. So I can't use all 7 chords, but the 4 chord as a 7 is a sure bet to really make you want to go back to the 1 chord. So here, I'm just playing a simple F triad. I like to mess around with this E flat, play E flat sus2 to the 3rd, you know, so basically in root position that's this. So I'm just substituting the 2nd for the 3rd and just moving it up. And then I played this B flat chord. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can expand on that and do. Now this is F minor over B flat, which is a little weird when you think about it. But it's basically, after you hear this, you have the context, right? But if you just hear that, I'm going to move it up a half step so you can hear it more fresh. So what was that voicing? That voicing was this, so. Trying to figure out, I hear another chord there, I'm trying to figure out what it is. Yeah, weird, right? Not everything you write is going to be good. Anyway, so in the context of that B flat there, it worked out a lot better. That's also a rootless voicing trick. 96 Tears uses that. So if you're a pianist or a guitarist and you have a bassist, you don't need to play the 4 chord. You can just make the 1 minor. So here's 1. Here's the 4. Isn't that cool? What's really cool about that is it's omitting the 3rd, and the 3rd is something that defines a chord, because the 2nd, or rather the 4 chord there is F major, which has A in it, but you'll notice when I play this progression, there is no A in it, but you still get that feeling of the 4, thus the power of musical implication. Alright, so let's get back to Under the Bridge, and I will show you guys a little bit more of what I done did. So times I feel like I don't have a partner. Whoops. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Lonely as I am, together we cry. Now I'm thinking, this is part of arranging too, is I was thinking like, well, I guess maybe at that one part I could do just some little ditty, you know. Lonely as I am, together we cry. I drive on the streets 'cause she's my, whoops, she's my companion, right? So yeah, try to use these methods when you're arranging, when you're writing, And you don't have to really do it that consciously. Part of this is experimentation, but the biggest thing is learn jazz voicings, because that's really what's going to help you with this, along with keys and all that other stuff. I've tried to make videos about jazz voicings, but nobody will bite, so I figured I'd put this one up. Anyway, take it easy, kids. And actually, before I leave, I wanted to show you guys some very basic piano stuff. Okay. Yeah. So last thing is I already showed you guys this sus2 thing. Now there are certain times when it works, there are certain times when it doesn't. But the other thing that's very typical in rock is using a sus4 chord for the 5. I don't know where that originated from. I have a feeling it has to do with guitar players. But there's this song that I wrote that starts with E sus4. Oh no, I'm sorry, it starts with D. Then it goes to E sus4. And then you go to A. Right? So there all I did was that. And you can use those as thirds as well. So that's kind of the thing. And this, of course, came from jazz, where you're kind of filling in a blank, you know. So if I'm playing Autumn Leaves Again, my left hand is filling in these blanks. I'm not playing I'm not leaving it blank. I'm not letting it ring. I'm punching a little bit. Ba, ba. Now there I just did a little bit of together itchiness, as we say. So that gets translated into rock just as kind of an easier thing. So all we're going to do is play around with these susses. So my tune goes, I got a all morning train, wondering if I'd see you again. D. While I was waiting for the plane, was wondering if you remember my name. Now I want you to pay attention to this next part, because this is all about my voicings. Listen to the melody too. Packed my bags and left my hotel key, thinking about how you moved miles from me. Hopped on a Greyhound going up northbound. Okay, so what I did was I exploited the fact that, so my melody is just those 3 friggin' notes, but I exploited this half-step thing. Packed up my bags and left my hotel key. And I'm playing around with that, you know. The bags and left my hotel key. Notice I'm not bothering to duplicate that there, because I want that rub. We want that particular rub. And that rub, of course, is reminiscent of. Sorry. Still played it wrong. So. And that's just. For those wondering, that's the Greatest American Hero theme. that song uses that rub, and I tend to like that rub. So yeah, that I just wanted to show you guys this stuff because the idea is that hopefully, if you're knowledgeable enough about keys and stuff, this will improve your piano playing a lot. All right, take it easy, kids.